Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Dungeons and Dragons Infernal Tide, issue number 1. Probably a 5, like they usually do with these. Yeah, I'm enjoying this. This was good. Jim Zub sent me this in advance on PDF. I read it. It's easier to do a review faster when I get an early release of something. I wish more companies would do that. Valiant does it. Valiant's very nice that way. Anyway, it guarantees that I get a first day review of the comic book out because I can already take my cool notes on that anyway. But still, I will not do a review until I actually get the physical comic book in my hand because comic books deserve to be bought. Okay, let's continue. Let's talk about 5 things about this comic book. After we talk about who made the book, I may have spilled the beans that Jim Zub actually wrote this book. The art is by Max Dunbar. Colors by Sebastian Cheng, and Neil Uyetake does the letters. Boom. Yeah, so I see 2 variant covers with this book also, which is kind of cool. Art by Max Dunbar with Jim Zub. Oh, because they did the little, I actually showed it in the This Week in Comics video where I actually showed they did the character sheet for, what's his face, Minsc and Boo on here, which we've seen before, but it's always welcome. I would like to see the other characters also, though. Anyway, let's talk about number 1 on this list, and that is Soul Coins. Yeah, man, I can't keep up with all the Dungeons & Dragons books that are coming out right now. I mean, with 5th edition, that's what's out right now. D&D Next, remember when that's what they were trying to call it? Nope, we refuse. It's D&D 5th edition. Anyway, I haven't seen this many books come out since 2nd edition Advanced, like Advanced 2nd edition, I should say. That's when like books were just coming out every other week. The Thieves Handbook, the Fighter's Handbook, the Druid's Handbook, Dude, seriously? Every single person gets a handbook? Yes. You know, here's the Professor Bill handbook. That was really cool. It was rare. No variant editions. If you have that, you're worth $1 million. Anyway, this one, they didn't actually make that, but they should have, and there's still time. This was, yeah, having soul coins in here is one of the things I have been able to keep up with. The idea, these are little coins that are actually technically a monetized version of a soul, human or demi-human, and their currency in the 9 planes. It's the only currency that works all the time, every time, no inflation rate, in the 9 hells, all of them in betwixt each other. And clearly they work here in the prime material plane as well, but usually only amongst demons. But regardless, there's a lot of cool things you could do with them. This is a fairly new concept. I believe this only came to bear like within the past 4 months. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that is sweet. That is sweet that Zub is already writing about them, already has them in his story, and this is a really good story. Okay, let's talk about, like, right now, I think probably the biggest propaganda for Dungeons & Dragons would have to be Zub. Anyway, Dunbar's doing a pretty good job at it, too. Let's talk about number 2 on this list, and that is character turns. When you're actually playing Dungeons & Dragons, all right, like, I don't care if it's online, on Google Hangouts, or if it's, you know, in person, everybody has to take their turn. And every hero should have, every character should have their opportunity to shine in the spotlight, right? Well, the Thieves definitely have that here, but it's reduced to 3 panels with no words. Is that a bad thing? Not if you're Max Dunbar. This crazy sun gun takes 3 panels and tells the story of what thieves, what rogues, I should say, do behind the scenes. It's perfect. It's perfect. So instead of waiting for turns for these guys to go out and doing what they're doing, it's literally just, dude, freaking Dunbar is like, yeah, I got a plan for that. 3 panels. And he explained everything you need to know about what thieves do best, about what rogues in general do best. I loved that. Let's talk about number 3 on this list, and that is world building. Look, man, you know, we have the Marvel Universe, the DC Universe, and, you know, there are a couple other little universes here and there. Valiant's trying to pick it up in a big way, and they're doing a good job at it. They're doing a really good job at it. But, I mean, when you've got, like, the Marvel and the DC Universes, you can have their crises over here and the sliding time scale over there and all these different ways of, you know, having these cool stories, right? But with this giant world that has been built upon layer by layer and soft retcons and major reboots, especially in the case of crises, yeah, you've got a huge world. It's hard to do world building when you're that huge. And yet somehow Dungeons & Dragons always manages to do that, right? Think about that. Dungeons & Dragons has been around since the Gygax age. Well, which only makes sense, right? I mean, ever since Chainmail, he came along and he's just like, I got this. Check this out. Boom. All right. Advanced, detailed dungeons. But then pretty soon people started making entire worlds, not just the dungeons. We don't want to just know about what's going on in the dungeons. We want to know what's going on outside of the Tomb of Horrors. You know what I'm saying? What about the quest to get there? What about the interactions? How do we find out about it in the first place? And just these worlds, and you look at all the novels that are out there. I mean, Gary Gygax obviously wrote a whole bunch in the Greyhawk world, but when the Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman books came out for Dragonlance, all of a sudden we're like, dude, we got universes here. And then a guy like Bob Salvatore comes along, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to take care of your Forgotten Realms right here. More than what Elminster himself, Ed Greenwood, did. All right, hate to say it. But more than what anything that Greenwood or anybody else has done, wow. Like Salvatore he's just opened these worlds and made them immense, and you fall into them in such an immersive way. That's the other word I was looking to say. You stumble. Yeah, and Zub right now is doing the exact same thing here in IDW. These deserve to actually be novels also, which hopefully means that they can be more, have more story told in them. These 5 comic books, to become a novel, God forbid a trilogy, you'd have to put a whole lot more into it. Not just descriptions, not just conversations, the world into it. But I would look forward to that. Heroes of Baldur's Gate, man. So let's talk about number 4 on this list, and that is important stories. I did just bring up R.A. Salvatore, right? Does it sound like, and like seriously, I want your opinions in the comments below. Does it sound a little bit like I'm really looking up to the things that Zub is doing in here? Because he's already writing for Marvel. He's already got 2 other books, at least 2 other books in Marvel that come out this week alone, right? And yet, what he's doing here, I feel like he knows that he's got a lot more freedom than he does in Marvel. They're both sandboxes. But Marvel's not going to be willing to let you just do whatever. Hey, I'd like to permanently kill Captain America. I think it would be great for the storyline that I've got. I don't think Marvel will even entertain the pitch. It's like, that's as far as you get, and they'll show you to the door. But here, you know what? I think I'd like to kill Drizzt. Okay, you better have a real good story for it. We're going to have to bring R.A. Salvatore in on this, but let's have this conversation. Because I think it would be entertained. And that right there shows a lot of freedom in this immense world. Yeah, I think that we're in good hands with these books. That's, of course, going to bring me into number 5, which is the biggest problem that I have with all of these Jim Zub Dungeons & Dragons books, and that is the character of Minsc and Boo. While I love Boo, the giant miniature space hamster that he is, there's a lot of silliness with this character. There's a little bit too much, in my opinion, silliness with his character. So I stopped, because I stopped reading the previous run on it. That being said, I still read them, but I just didn't review them because I didn't really like the issues that much. It is what it is. That being said, I stopped and I thought about it, because I do game a lot, not just the Marvel Face Rip games. No, I also play Dungeons & Dragons and Star Wars online. And I can say that every single group you have, if you only have one character who acts like Minsc and Boo, you might have gotten lucky, because sometimes you have the entire party acting like that. And there's the idea of the social contract. Hey, what are we willing to put up with? Do we want a silly campaign, or do we want to actually have a different kind of fun? Because I know when I was a kid, we couldn't have characters like that at the table. They got booted in a heartbeat. But it's been a while since I've been a kid, So sometimes you do want to have more fun. You don't want to play this right on the nose. You want to have some fun with the characters and just, hey, I'm going to have a character who does some silly stuff all the time. And why not? So since you always have those characters anyway, since we all know that person, and if you don't, you are that person. You know who I'm talking to. The character of Minsc doesn't seem so annoying to me anymore. I just have to, I think, look at it in that particular vein. That, yeah, There's always going to be somebody like that. Somebody who wants to play the ridiculously dumb character who still adds a lot to the party. In fact, realistically, he technically adds more to the party than anybody else if you think about it. That being said, he's got to grow on you like a mold, any kind of a fungus. Anyway, guys, I genuinely do enjoy this issue. I like where this story is going. I like that we're actually... It's funny how this book, this title, these guys always find a way to bring these heroes of little old Baldur's Gate into all these different realms. They were just in Ravenloft. They were the Frost Giant's Fury. They were just like all the different places that they've been. And yet they always manage to come back. They always manage to do something else. Now they're venturing into the Infernal Realms. What the frig? Plus, when I was a kid, you couldn't come back from Ravenloft. So I don't know when that changed. I never played 3rd edition or 3.5, so maybe it was somewhere in there, but I don't know how that happened. Anyway, guys, I definitely like this. Okay, so will I be reading the other issues? Yeah, probably. Anyway, I still don't have to like Minsc that much. Professorville, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.